So I have two questions that we're going to ask them, and they're just going to give you suggestions, advice. So you know, let's open here. So the first question is, who are you with? Do they know who we are?
Yeah, maybe so.
Oh, yeah. Please introduce yourselves, just in case.
My name is Joshua Yang. I'm a faculty member of the Department of Public Health. I'm a faculty mentor for the public health, substantive area of HCOM. That's it.
My name is Pei Johnson. I'm a professor in communication sciences and disorders and currently serving as a new department chair. And I've been involved in HCOP from the onset. So HCOP 1, I feel this is a really great opportunity for our science. And I really can't take to be part of it.
Hi, I'm Michelle Fernandez. I'm a lecturer in the Department of Social Work and a faculty mentor.
For MSW students.
Our MSW students, yes, absolutely.
I'm Dave Cheneau. I'm the chair of the Department of Social Work. I'm also the principal investigator on the HCOP grant, along with Dr. Lori Rhodes, who's the dean of the School of College of Health and Human Development.
Thank you. So I know when I was an undergraduate, I had a really difficult time asking for letters of recommendation or what was expected of me. So this is a very important and crucial part of your academic career when you're applying to graduate school, or when you're going to work in the field professionally. Okay. So the first one is, how would you advise a student to begin forming? What are the steps to take in creating those relationships? And then kind of talk about like your own experiences with your academic career and what has helped you.
Well, when I was a student, I was terrible at getting to know faculty. When you're sitting in a 300-person chemistry or bio class, it's like, I'm going to get my A. And then as the semester goes, maybe I didn't get my B. And it's the grades that I will write graduate. And then you realize, oh my goodness, I need letters of recommendation. And I remember very clearly going to one of my professors. I was like, well, I guess I should go to someone who I got a good grade in. And he was right now. I was like, hi. You don't know me, but I did really well in your class. Would you mind writing a letter? And he was like, sure. And now that I'm on the other end of it, I'm like, man, that was terrible. Because if you want someone to write a letter of recommendation for you, I'm skipping ahead. They have to have something to write. And if they don't know you, there's nothing to write. So I would say that as now a writer of letters of recommendation, a couple things help. One is that I know the person usually really well as a person, so that I can do more than say what they did that are really good in my class. The other, at minimum, is that they did well in my class. It's really hard to write a letter of recommendation for someone who got a C+ or a B-, even a B, because they didn't get an A. So that's what I would say. So I would say, you would want to start making those relationships early. My preference would be office hours, not email. And the more personable it can be, the better. And then, so if you want to go to office hours, have a purpose. It's a little awkward for the faculty member when the student comes and they're like, I'm going to make a relationship with this faculty. And it's like, and we're just going to chat. And it's like, you know what? It's hard to just chat. So have a purpose, have something to ask, come with a set of questions that you may want to ask them. And then it would be great, whether it's personal or professional or about the class. And then I would say also that you should approach the faculty member initially not with the intent of like, oh, in 12 weeks I'm going to get a letter of recommendation. But come with a learning posture and a learning attitude where you're like, you know what, this person, if they're nice, it's a resource for me to learn from. And I think that's the way. And not something necessarily someone to get something out of or to extract something from. And then the other part, you just have to sort of feel out which faculty member are going to be willing to engage with you as a person. Not everyone will, and you know what? It's not personal. It's just different faculty are different students are different, and sometimes you connect with some more than others. That's true for you as students. That's true for faculty as faculty, and I guess I do. So.
You covered much of what I'm going to say, so that we take it differently. The purpose of discussing how to build a relationship with your professor perhaps will lead to how, at the end, how do you get the letters of recommendation? I will share my story many years ago as a doctoral student at Wisconsin. My mentor asked me to take one of her undergraduate course because I changed the major. I agreed. The class was in a huge auditorium in Central Building. And I noticed back then she was fully pushing the parts for VCR to show in class. And I noticed she did not have any TA for the large class. So I was standing in line to ask her question at the end, and I realized we were waiting for her to come down after we turned the device to the lab upstairs. So I volunteered, and they helped me bring that to the lab. So she had to leave, let me do that. And then there were lines of students, so I waited until she answered to all the students. And she walked back to her office, which was in the I waited until she finished responding to the student, and we went to find that time. Okay. So that's what I did as a doc student years ago. So perhaps think about how you will find time to engage with your professors. Going to office hours, we stay after the lecture, have a follow-up questions, or meet up at any of the student club events. Go to any event. Go to any event on campus as much as you can. You will get something out of it. And I will share very sad stories. I joined Cal State in 2006. It was about 2007. In December, I got an email from a student asking me to write a letter of recommendation. Back then, I knew every student by their name and face. I did not recognize the name in email. There was not a time. But I agreed to meet with her in my office. She came in. I did not recognize her face. So I asked her, "Are you sure you had me as your professor?" She said, "Yes, I was in your pretty good." So I pulled out my roster, sure enough, her name was in. But was that a good situation for me to write a letter for her? It was a very difficult conversation to tell her that I'm very sorry that I'm not the right person to write with, because I don't even recognize your face, not recognize your name. What do I say? I can say she had 352 in one semester right here, and her final grade was X. That's all I know. And she understood. And that. I went home, shared this story with my sister. My sister was so upset. She yelled at me saying, "What? You told her to come to me during the office hours. That student came with a hope that you will write her letter. And you told her you cannot write her. I need to calm my sister down. She spoke from a parent's perspective. I had to calm her down, and I explained to her why I had to do that, even though it was painful. So from that experience, I decided to be proactive. Meaning, following semester, at the beginning of the semester, of all the undergraduate courses I have taught, I always has about 10-15 minute lecture. Ingredients for your academic success. I see somebody's nodding. Ingredient for your academic success. What do you need to prepare for graduate school? Okay? So you definitely need a relationship with your professors, volunteer site supervisors, to ask them to write a letter, because they should have substantial knowledge about you as a person, potential as a graduate student. Okay? So they should be able to fluently speak on your behalf about your strength.
I would like to put the question back to you guys, because I know that students are intimidated to go to professors' office hours and day after class. And I'd like you to kind of do some soul searching about why that is. And then if you can kind of answer that question maybe, that might help you move past it and kind of fight that fear and stay after class and maybe ask a question about the lecture, or let the professor know that you really enjoyed hearing what they were talking about, or go to office hours to ask about your midterm paper. And I would also recommend that some professors may seem more approachable. I think that was mentioned a bit. Maybe some aren't. Maybe there's not a fit, or you just don't feel as comfortable. Find one that you do feel comfortable with, and then ask yourself, do I feel comfortable going to this professor, and begin to form that relationship. That would be my best advice. Because I really enjoy when students just kind of hang around afterwards and talk about what we just said, and carry the conversation further. And then I think if you start there in the classroom, you can move on to office hours and bigger things. And then, yeah, absolutely. I know we've gotten to the other question, but when they come back, when you go back and ask for a letter, they absolutely know who you are and write to you personally. That would be my.
So I'll try to keep mine really short. What they said. I would just offer a little a mechanical suggestion. With some faculty, it's going to be best to ask them for an appointment. They're all incredibly busy. So if you ask ahead of time and plan ahead, like a week from now or 2 weeks or what have you, ask for an appointment, set up an appointment with them, then they'll have set aside the time and devote it directly to you. So just from a practical perspective, rather than sometimes just showing up, and also be careful of your expectations for time from faculty if you haven't scheduled an appointment, and because like I said, they're very busy. You may show up at their office and they're not there, and you're like, oh no, even during office hours, they may get called away for things. But if you set up an appointment ahead of time, then it's, the vast majority of faculty are going to be there for that appointment. Is that short enough?
Okay, so I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, so the questions that with the outline. So, what would be the best way to meet with faculty? Each faculty is different. Like Josh said, via email. It's not his preference, so it's good to know what they prefer and what works for them. So,
Something that's not too bad.
Okay. Well, ask them directly. What works best for you? Is it an appointment or email or what? Because everyone's a little different, right? Some people like texts just among your friends. Some people like emails. Some people on a phone call. They want to, talk to someone over the phone. But, it's always different. And so different faculty arrange things differently in their schedules, and when they have time to be able to talk to students. But I would go back to what everyone else has said, that once you figure out what's the best avenue or practical way to do that, be sure to do it. Because particularly if you want to learn a lot more from that person and maybe we keep talking about letters of recommendation. If you're headed in that direction, then you definitely want a relationship with them. Because if they don't know who you are, or you did very poorly in their class, probably not the right faculty member to ask for a letter. Because what they're going to be able to write is going to be very generic if they write one at all. I mean, yeah, they were in my class. That's what the letter is gonna say.
Yeah, I would agree with Dr. Chanel, just to ask the faculty member what works best for them. I usually allow time right after class, just a little bit for students to come ask questions. And then we can schedule an appointment or email them at that point.
Everybody's different. Some prefer email, some prefer face-to-face. You have to figure out what works for Professor X, what works best for Professor B. For me, it works everything. Phone call, email, face-to-face meetings. It depends on the topic you want to discuss. If it's a mechanical, straightforward questions, you can email. And if you want to discuss something more substantial, face-to-face probably is the best.
Yes to everything that was said. I mean, just to also reinforce that you're trying to develop a relationship. And just like any other relationship you have with any other human being, it has its own qualities and characteristics. Do remember, however, that your faculty in general, I think, are probably closer in age to your parents than they are to you. And what is appropriate in a relationship may be different generationally. And so, while you don't want to be afraid of your faculty going in, you also don't go in like they're my friend. But if they are your faculty member, you have a certain relationship there. That may change over time, but that initial, that warm-up period, I think just be mindful of that.
Yeah, at one point, following what he said, when you send an email, be careful how you address it. And make sure you use the right punctuation and proofread the message before you send.
I agree. Email etiquette is very important. So don't use what you use on Instagram or Facebook.
No emojis.
Yes. Be professional. These are your words.
Can I use riff on that for a second? Particularly you grad students, we are developing you to become professionals. So all your communications with faculty, you want it to look professional. And sometimes we get an email and it's like, dude, whatever it says in the email, and a faculty member is going to be going, whoa, we got a little work to do, Particularly, I mean, the whole idea is we're trying to help you develop into professionals and to represent yourself that way. So when you get out there in the field and you're applying for jobs, etc., you make a very strong positive impression as a professional.
Yep. Thank you. So next question. When asking for letters of recommendation, what would you advise a student to do? Or even for professionally, when I was applying for my job after graduate school, they asked for letters of recommendation, or they asked for can I list you as a reference? So open for our undergraduate. What would make you want to write me a letter of recommendation, and how can I stand out to you?
We'll definitely build that relationship. This is what we keep saying over and over again. They need to know who you are. They need to have some experience with you as a student. Don't wait to the last minute to ask them for the letters, like due tomorrow or next week or what have you. If you've asked for it in a good, timely manner ahead of time, it's okay to remind them that you've asked. If they've said they'll do it anyway, if they said, sure, I'll write you a letter, it's okay to remind them, but you don't want to be stopping by every day and bugging them about it, but sending a reminder is all right. And if you want to list them as a reference, you should ask first. most people are pretty positive about that. I mean, I could count on a very small percentage I've ever said I won't do that. I've been asked many times.
I would say also if you want a letter that's, or you're applying for a job and you need a specific letter to let them know what the job is, what the responsibilities are, so that they can tailor their letter specifically to the job and obviously to you. Hopefully that they know you and their qualities.
Doesn't hurt to send a resume
Yeah.
with the request.
The more help and info you can give them,
Yeah.
the better. The girl will get them.
Yeah, I will focus more on graduate school application level recommendation. Again, each professors are different, so you need to ask them what information do they need. Okay. Some professors wanted to within our department wanted to get the packet information at the beginning of the semester. They have certain number of letters they can write, and they may do it as it comes in. And some professors like myself, I'm too busy, I'm not going to do anything until I finish submitting the grade. So bring the information to me, let's say around Thanksgiving. That's how I do. So you have to identify each professor's preference. So for me, I ask the student, I like tables and figures. So I ask them, summarize the names of the schools you're applying. They'll get along in a table. Are they on online submission or forms? You specify what they are asking and bring that table. And your draft, letter of intent, your resume if you have one. And then I always ask the student, give me a short paragraph of your self-assessment of your strength and weakness. Okay. So that's what I request a student. By the way, they bring the information organized. It tells me a lot about them. Some are very open. Some are not as organized as they could. Okay. So in other words, every bit of your behavior is being prepared. How you send the email, how you approach them.
I'm not mad. But one thing, I will say that the best letters I write come after no less than one academic year. So into our relationship, it takes about that long, for me at least, to feel like, yes, I know you well enough, and you have performed well enough across classes. You need to feel like I can write you.
Sorry, I just wanted to give like words with me, like even after I graduated, I kept in contact with my professors, just to keep that growing. You never know, you're gonna be colleagues one day. Yeah.
That's a very good point. I know that for time I went there. Because whatever you do, you need letters.
Yeah.
Therefore, it is critical for you to maintain relationship with your professors, your boss, your supervisor, because down the road, you don't know when you are switching your job. And that person knows you, continue to know what you are doing, will help you to get the letter.
We'll save the question. So that kind of like segues into the next question, but when I was applying for graduate school, what I did for the professors, I compiled a little like a packet of everything that I needed, and I organized, make it as easy as possible for the professors because they do have other hats that they wear. So just that ease, like, oh, okay, this person actually took the time to really work with my schedule. Okay, so the next one. What suggestions do you have on professionalism at school, meeting with professors, in the community? Your reputation is very important. So you're just showing up on time, or so what are some suggestions for building that? Like you mentioned, you're being evaluated at all times.
Be respectful. You know, in your communications with faculty. They're humans. Yeah.
Well, don't do, I had a student the other day that put her foot up on the desk. Don't do that. Just always maintain that professional demeanor, right, with your professors and the way you communicate with them.
You can kind of think, would you do that in a boss's
Yeah,
office
exactly.
if
Think
you were
if you're
working
at
somewhere? Would you put your foot up on
Yeah.
the desk? At your jeopardy,
It actually had
right?
never seen that either. I'm like, what do I? And then she put it down, so I was like, okay, moving on. So she doesn't do that again.
Communication is, yeah, our department is in the college of communications. So I think about the importance of communication multiple times every day. Communication is everything. Issues will be there all the time, every day. And we need to know how to resolve those issues. We can only resolve the issues through efficient, professional. And if you have any questions, don't stay among students. You will not get anything resolved. If you have any questions, find what is the most primary resource that can answer my question. And go to that person, not your peers.
That's a good point, but that's usually what happens,
Mhm.
right? Students ask other students instead of asking the faculty, whoever the faculty member might be, who can give you the definitive answer.
Hard question to answer. I think professionalism in many ways is a laundry list of do's and don'ts, but I think it's also a matter of something you acquire over time with experience. So I don't know.
And the last question is basically knowledge or advice you want to share with students. Something and we'd like to pass on. Professional.
Great start.
Don't try to rush through college or grad school with the assumption that graduating or finishing is the ultimate goal. Recognize that whatever period of time you have, you should invest in that experience while you have it, because once you're done, you're never coming back. Then you're like, oh my God, you're in the workforce for like 3 or 4 or 5. You're like, wow, I wish I were at school again. All the students who I got, like, enjoy the time you have. They're like, I'm so stressed out. Like, I'm like, you think you're stressed out now? You just wait till what you do every day is required to pay like bills. and then it's come back like, oh my God, you were right. It's like so stressful. Like I thought school was so hard, but like it's totally not. Enjoy the time that you have. And that's the experience. Don't be in such a rush to get out. I mean, I think the university wants you to get 4 years. So it's not like hanging out for 10 years, but you know, timely progress.
Enjoy the process. Yeah, my advice is planning ahead. I do plan quite thoroughly. So planning ahead decreases my stress. And uncertainty gives us anxiety and stress. But if you know what needs to be done when, how, then it will decrease overall stress. So that's my advice. That's related to not to procrastinate. Don't do things at the last minute. Some people may have the ability to handle things at the last minute, but most of us don't. If you do things at the last minute, your outcome will reflect. So those are the 2 things.
I would say be open-minded, especially to MSWs. It's sometimes not always the ideal placement is what I'm hearing this type of time of year. Or maybe you're lucky enough to have that placement or that great class or that great professor, but be open-minded because everything that you do every day is contributing to your future and your experience and your overall where you're gonna go with what you're getting here. So yeah, take it slow, be open-minded, grow where you're planted, as Professor Saxon says, right? Sure.
So I would just echo what everyone has said, and Josh was talking about enjoying the experience. That might seem a little like a foreign concept, but if you think about the concept of mindfulness, mindfulness is all about the present. It's living in the present. You particularly all you grad students, you're gonna, many of you, this is your terminal degree. Some of you will go on to doctoral work, but probably not everyone. This is maybe the last time you have the chance to take all these classes and spend a lot of time looking through the literature and evidence base for what you're going to be doing out there, and enjoying time with a cohort of peers that you're developing with into professionals, etc. And undergrads, you're maybe thinking about grad school and what you're going to go into. This is a great time to throw yourself into your education and the experience, the day-to-day experience of learning all of this. When you are out there in the work world, there's a lot less time to read an article. Or I'll never forget, I worked full-time, had a long career before I ever came into academia. And I was hired in an academic position at the same time as another person who had worked in the field of social work for many years. And we bumped into each other in the hall, and we both said to each other, you can actually read a whole article without somebody coming in your office and needing something. We had both been supervisors. And I mean, when you're out there in the work world, this is constant. The requirements are constant. So this is a great time to be able to throw yourself into the research and to get good habits going, so that when you have less time later on, you can quickly get an article or something and kind of critically evaluate it a little quicker than you would have otherwise.
Great, thank you for sharing your knowledge and experiences with the students. I'm sure they're gonna use it, and I hope they do. You guys have an advantage for you because you already met with your faculty support, so utilize them. That's what they're here for. They're human and they want you to learn. You're in the mentorship world, so they want to teach you. And it's collaborative. Thank you for being a part of it.
I guess it's the relationship with your professor. I had one with the professor, but he retired, unfortunately. But good for him. I guess, like, in a way, since he's retired, I would still like him to write a letter of recommendation for me. But how would I go about that, especially since he's retired now, and I don't want to intrude on his, I guess, personal life now, because he doesn't really come back to like the college that he taught at. So I'm just curious, how would I go about that?
You could ask the department that he worked in, like the maybe even the support staff there, if it would be all right to email him, tell them what you want, that you'd like to request a letter of recommendation. And they may say, well, we don't have his email address or something, but more likely they will. And they may say, well, we'll ask him if that's okay first, and we'll get back to you.
Okay. So
Or
just
they may
ask.
just give you the email address.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I have different,
Oh.
when did he retire?
Last year. So
Pretty fresh.
fresh.
You may email him. You have not communicated with him about the letter.
No, I communicate, but I never really ask because I'm a little bit hesitant because I don't want to intrude on his life in a way. He's already traveling and doing other things now, so I don't want to ask for something. And be intrusive.
Okay, they can be individual. Some retired professors have time. They
Mhm.
may enjoy writing the letter, even they know you well. So I would email the professor politely and ask if he can write the letter on your behalf. If you don't hear back from the person, then you may check with the department chair.
Okay, thank you so much.
We would say that there's a limit as to how many letter of rights you should pass a certain professor. Because I feel like sometimes, like as students, we're always seeking multiple opportunities. And each opportunity we're seeking may require a letter of rights. So that's like my question that I have.
Okay, so your question is, you're applying for different jobs, schools. Once someone writes your letter, it's easier to tweak as needed. So if you have a good relationship with that person who wrote the letter, asking repeatedly, as long as you have good relationship, that wouldn't hurt. Okay, you can ask the person if he or she will write it.
And when they do, it's always nice to send a little thank you card,
Yeah.
just for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a gift, but just be like, I really appreciate it. Something between an actual gift that you buy and an email, there's a nice sweet spot in there.
It was like a little small card that says thank you. Yeah, we appreciate that kind of thing. When you ask that request, give them the information they need because it'll probably be specific to a program or whatever it is, a certain job or what. Give them the details they're going to need to, as Dr. Sun said, to tweak that letter, even if they have a draft from the old one they read.
Okay, one other thing. And when you make the ask, especially via email, give them the opportunity to say no.
Yeah.
I just feel like, and if you can't, I understand. Thank you.
Maybe each of the departments speak on this. What do you think about people who get, or students who get letters from adjuncts?
Whichever respond. I tell the student, it was brought to my attention, I tell the student, it doesn't matter whether they are full-time professors or adjunct faculty. As long as the person knows you best, that should be the person who write the letter. Rank doesn't matter in my opinion. What they can say about you matters.
It may matter in some doctoral programs if they're, depending on who's reviewing them, but most likely not. I would agree with that.
So something I was kind of thinking about is that I thought would be interesting to hear from one of you guys is maybe something that a student really did really well to make that relationship with you guys, or maybe something unsuccessful, or when they're not even in your class anymore, how do they maybe still maintain that relationship, guys, in a successful way?
Come by during office hours and just say, hey, how are you? How's your semester going? They will usually, if the relationship is already good, they'll ask back, how is your semester going? And then, and it's just like any other relationship, they require work and maintenance. And so office hours are good for that because they're supposed to be built in time to do that, and they're open, not just for students. So I would say that treat it like any other relationship that needs constant maintenance.
And again, different professors have different styles. I know some of my colleagues has rules. You must have at least 2 courses with me, and you must have A's, blah, blah, blah. But I'm different. I have written a letter of recommendation many years ago for a student who repeated one of my professors. She was a transfer student. She got A in all courses at JC, was transferred. She was very unhappy with me because she got C in my observation course. She repeated a course. I was able to observe her across 2 semesters, and I was happy that she matured over time and she performed better. Therefore, even though she didn't get A's in my class, even in the course, I felt good about writing the letter on looking at it. So each professor has different style, different preference.
If you guys think of any more questions, feel free to like email them over to me, or maybe you can, I'm sure you can email your faculty for it as well. But if you feel more comfortable with emailing me, but I would strongly encourage you to reach out to your faculty. They are